If you've already tried the breathing exercises, the visualization, the positive self-talk, and your swimmer is still freezing when it counts, stay with me because this video is about why all of that isn't working and the 3 specific things that actually change everything for me. I was one of the fastest freestyle swimmers in the entire United States, second fastest 200-meter freestyle time in the entire NCAA, training at the University of Virginia, the same pool where Gretchen Walsh and Kate Douglas would later become Olympic champions. On paper, I had everything. But in 2011, at the NCAA Championships, I walked into that locker room, I put on my race suit, and I completely fell apart. My chest was tight, the neck was locked and tight, the heart rate went through the roof, and I just couldn't breathe. And honestly, I did not want to be there. And here's the thing, I already knew about mental performance. I'd read some books, I tried some techniques, and I understood the theory. It didn't matter though, because understanding something in your head and then having it train into your nervous system are 2 completely different things. And nobody had taught me that difference yet. Then about a year later, I stood on the blocks at the Swiss Championships in March 2012. And that was my absolute last chance to qualify for the Olympic Games in London. And I was calm, not forced calm, actually calm, happy, excited. My parents were in the stands and I was glad that they were there, and I qualified that day. And months later, I broke a national record in front of 15,000 people in the arena in the 2012 Olympic Games and millions watching around the world. 3 things changed between those 2 moments, and I'm gonna give you all 3, but I wanna start with the one that most parents miss entirely. And it's probably not what you think it is. I'll get to that in a second. So what I'm sharing in this video isn't sports psychology theory. It's the specific system that I was taught by the man who worked with Michael Phelps, and that I've now spent 7 years refining with competitive teenage swimmer, national record holders, and even an Olympic champion. If your swimmer is talented, works hard, and still underperforms at the meets that matter the most, this is exactly what's missing. And by the end of the video, you're going to understand not just what to do, but why what you've already tried didn't work. Okay, point 1. The real reason visualization and positive self-talk aren't working and what to do instead. So here's something most sports psychology researchers won't tell you directly. Visualization and positive self-talk are cognitive tools. They work in your head. But what happens to your swimmer in the warm-up or in the call room or in front of the blocks, that's not a cognitive event. That is a physiological one. The nervous system has taken over at that point, and you cannot think your way out of a nervous system response. This is why your swimmer can do all the right mental prep and walk out onto the pool deck and then still freeze. It's not that they didn't try hard enough, it's that the tool doesn't match the problem. What actually works is training the nervous system directly, not around pressure, through it, repeatedly, in practice, in low stakes environment until the body knows what to do when the stakes go up. At the University of Virginia, we were given access to the sports psychologist who worked with Michael Phelps. Out of 70 people, 70 swimmers on our team, only 8 of us chose to go and see him. 5 of those 8 made the Olympic team. That's not coincidence. That's what happens when you train the right thing. But here's what I want you to hold on to, because this connects to the 3rd point, and it's the part most people never get to. It's not just about what tools you use, it's about when and how you practice them. And I'll come back to that. So point 2 is the training competition flip. And this one is counterintuitive, so hear me out. This was probably the most uncomfortable thing I had to hear, because it meant my whole approach to competing had been wrong. Most swimmers, and I was exactly this kind of swimmer, treat practice casually and competition very seriously. They cruise through sets, they chat between reps, they save something for like the last moment, right? We call them save up swimmers. And then when competition comes, they flip a switch. They become deadly serious. They tighten up, they try too hard, and they can't swim freely because of the weight of the moment is just crushing them. And the irony is that this is exactly the wrong way around. What actually produces performance is the opposite: to be focused and intentional in training, and then treat competition just like another practice. Treat practice like it's the Olympics, and then treat the race like it's just a swim. When you flip those two, something happens immediately. Training gets sharper because you're actually present, and competition gets loose and relaxed and fun because you've removed the event status from that race. You've already done the real work. Race day is just where you show it. Now, here's where this connects to the breathing technique, because this is the piece that locks it all together. And it's a thing I want every swim parent watching this to understand before they try anything else. And that brings me to point 3, which is the 4-2-8-2 breathing method, and why most swimmers are using it completely wrong. This breathing technique, I was taught, is called box breathing, or the version that we learned is the 4-2-8-2. Inhale for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 8, hold for 2. Michael Phelps used it, I used it, I teach it every day to our Swimpros swimmers. But here's what nobody tells you about why it works, and this is very important. When your swimmer gets nervous before a race, their sympathetic nervous system fires. Heart rate spikes, blood pressure goes up, muscles tighten. That's not a problem. That's energy. The question is whether that energy gets converted into panic or into performance. The 4-2-8-2 method works because the extended exhale directly activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the brake pedal. It doesn't eliminate the arousal, the excitement. It regulates it. It takes that spike of energy and channels it. Done correctly, in the moments before a race, it converts the majority of that nervous energy into speed and focus rather than fear. When I used this at the Swiss Championships in 2012, standing on the blocks, knowing it was my last shot at the Olympics, I wasn't suppressing the nerves. I was using them. And that felt completely different from every race I'd ever swum in the past. But, and this is the part most parents miss when they teach this to their swimmer at home, the breathing technique only works reliably under pressure if it's been practiced under pressure first, right? That makes sense. Not in your bed, but in practice, when they're tired, when the set is hard, when the coach is watching, when the stakes are high. That's when you wire it in. That's the training competition flip in action. The tool, the timing, and the practice environment, all three have to connect. That's what the Swimpros system is built around. And that's what I'll show you in detail inside our community. So here's where we are. If your swimmer knows about mental performance, but still freezes when it counts, the gap is almost never the knowledge. It's almost always that the tools they're using are cognitive, but the problem is physiological, or the right tools aren't being practiced in the right conditions, or both. The three things that took me from freezing at NCAA Championships to qualifying for the Olympics is to first stop trying to think through a nervous system problem, train the nervous system directly. Second, flip the energy switch. Serious in practice, free and easy in competition. And then number 3 is the 4-2-8-2 breathing technique works, but only if it's practiced under pressure first, not just at home before bed. These are not just swimming skills. Every swimmer who learns to perform under pressure is learning something that transfers to exams, to dating, to job interviews, relationships, to everything that matters in life after the pool. That's the real reason why we build Swimpros, by the way. And if you want to go deeper, if you want the full Swimpros framework, the step-by-step system that I use with national record holders and even an Olympic champion, and a community of swim parents, 1,000 of them, who are serious about this, join us for free. The link is in the description, and it costs absolutely nothing. It's where I put all my stuff. So the swimmers who make it aren't always the most talented. They're the ones whose parents understood this early enough to do something about it. And I hope to see you there.